It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, hope everybody's doing well. Hey, it's signing day. I know it doesn't really feel the same, but it in fact is National Signing Day. Now, there's not going to be a whole bunch to really dive into in terms of signing day like we would have in the past, maybe really a few years ago, I would say, Chase, since everything's changed, right? There's been, I guess, the emergence of the second signing day, the earlier period, which pretty much everybody signs then. So a little bit more of a quiet signing day, but it is, in fact, signing day. So happy signing day. I know we had one of our callers mention it the other day. He said he used to take off work. Well, I don't know if he's still doing it these days, at least during the February one. But there's a little bit of things to, I guess, cover and talk about regarding it. So we will mention that here at some point. Sounds like there's going to be some more, I guess, Sab in T-Town, right? Younger brother of Keon Sab, officially committed to Alabama yesterday. He's a slot receiver. He's not a DB like his brother, but allegedly he's a pretty fast guy. He's a 4.3, 4.4 type of player. So exciting news for him. That's cool that they get to play together one final time before Keon Sab officially moves on. This is his last year of eligibility. But speaking of eligibility, Chase, I guess you can't rule him out knowing that there's all type of cases where people are suing for more eligibility, and those just keep on rolling out. The latest being Joey Aguilar, who we mentioned yesterday a little bit about his case, trying to see if he could get himself, I think it was a 6th year he was going for, and so far he's getting it. Now, I don't know if it's how long that's going to last, because it is similar to what we've been seeing with these temporary restraining orders, where the court systems where these cases are being held, the local courts, they're issuing these temporary restraining orders, which allows these guys to be eligible, at least for the time being, until an official ruling is made. So I say we do this. I say once Adam gets in here, we ask Adam. I say we ask Adam about the whole ruling, maybe, and see what he thinks about this whole deal. Because like we talked about, man, I mean, at this point, the NCAA has no power. I mean, if you want some type of, I don't even know, Chase, if it is strictly just with eligibility. I mean, it probably could be anything. Just bring it to a local court, get yourself a temporary restraining order, and you pretty much are in the clear until further notice. Now, I know with Betty Acco, he's got the official hearing. I want to say 2 days, I believe. It's in 2 days. So that one's probably coming up soon. With Joey Aguilar, I'm not 100% sure exactly when his official case would be. But the one I'm still curious about, Chase, is Ole Miss's quarterback, Chambliss, because I think that could definitely have an effect on the NFL draft, which we talked a little bit about yesterday, where guys could go. Personally, I do believe if he does come out. Now, I know, he's a very similar case to Ty, meaning, he transferred. I know he started at a smaller school before transferring to Ole Miss, ended up winning the job like week 2, week 3. Then he kind of took college football by storm, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the college football playoff, if not the, based off his performances. Definitely think it could get interesting depending on how that situation goes. So that said, there's a number of things going on. If you see the title on the YouTube stream, we do need to go back and listen to the Ryan Grubb interview again. It's only about a minute and a half, but he spoke briefly. I don't think I would say the media. I think it was like one news outlet at maybe like a quarterback club, one of those deals. So we'll play that. We'll hear what he had to say regarding this offense for the 2026 season, some of the players that he's excited about, and so forth. We'll do all that. As of now, we just got one guest plan. We got Brandon Clear at 11:30, which is in about 15 minutes or so. So after that, we will go phone lines pretty much the rest of the way. 205-342-9904. Anybody that wants to get in on the action, we encourage you guys to do so. Again, might want to wait to call in until we finish with Brandon. That way we're not sitting on there. But if you want to wait, no worries, no problem. But I think it'll probably be around like 12 when we really get things rolling, just to prep you guys for that. Want to remind you about our friends over at R&R Cigars. While it's on my mind, if you guys are looking for a place to go watch the games, basketball, you got baseball, softball coming up, you name it, definitely football during the fall. Check out R&R Cigars, the best humidor in the Southeast. They've got cigars galore there. They've got over 160 bourbons for you to try. Drink responsibly, but it's incredible. They even utilize the Yay Alabama alcoholic beverages. They've got some really good drinks for you to try. So check them out. 2703 Gary Fitz Street. You can't miss it. Big white mansion on the corner there downtown here in Tuscaloosa. Or if you're not local, you can always go on their website, www.rnrcigars.com. Use that code Miller's Edge, which is designed for all of our listeners. Get you 20% off. Take advantage of it. It's literally for that cause, man. And it's strictly for you guys. It's not like there's some thing that we get. It's just, if you're a listener to the Miller's Edge, use that code. Code Miller's Edge will get you 20% off of all your orders with R&R on their website, rnrcigars.com. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. We got to hit this first time out when we come back. We'll listen to that Ryan Grubb clip. We'll kind of get things rolling with that. We'll hear from Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver, get his thoughts on the latest going on in college football, and we'll roll from there right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. We're just getting started. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Tuscaloosa Thread News Update is brought.
What's up, guys? What we got in here? Kenji, what's up? Mike, what's up? Phil, good morning, man. Nicholas, what's up? You want me to call you Nicholas or Nick? Which one's better? We got Joe. About said Jose. Chase, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, wait, we got a Jose in here? Let me find out we got some Spanish speakers in here, man. Joe, what's up? Thoughts about Bama as of right now? Good question. We'll talk about that for sure. 5 years of eligibility no longer applies. Understanding COVID and one medical red shirt, but now, yeah, I just, to me, it's, and I got to go back and look at, I think guys like that and Chambliss, Nick, all right, bet. Yeah, we'll call you, we'll go with Nick. I'll just ask because I know like my name's Christian. A lot of people probably go by Chris, but I've just been sticking with Christian this whole time. Is that JB? JB, what's up, man? Kim, good morning. Mario, what's going on? Keith, what's up? What was I saying? Oh yeah, I think a lot of these cases are guys that played maybe like JUCO or something like that, and they're trying to say that shouldn't have counted towards their eligibility. I'll be honest, I have to look more kind of into that whole deal because I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, in my opinion, if it's college. I know it's a smaller deal, but I just think once you start getting to 6-7 years in college, I mean, you're kind of taking away opportunities from high school guys. We've already seen high school recruiting's already taken a hit with the whole transfer portal thing. And I know that's part of it, so I'm not like complaining about it. But when it becomes as frequent as we've seen, that's when it becomes a problem. If you got a couple guys here and there, that's one thing. But now, just like if you heard Coach Oates, I don't know if you guys heard him in his press conference. I mean, if they're going to maintain the eligibility of those pro guys from Europe, which again, I know I'm a little hard on the whole Bediako thing, but I'll be the same. I keep that same energy. I'm not big on the guys from Europe either. He's got a good point. If you can go recruit a guy that's played overseas since he was 17 and he's now 21, 22, and he would be a freshman, why would you not consider taking that route? Especially with basketball. Like if I was Coach Oates, hell, I damn sure would be going overseas and recruiting those dudes. Give me a 21, 22-year-old freshman that played a little bit of pro ball if it's legal. So I mean, without a doubt, that's why there needs to be guidelines, man. It's that simple. Then with football, it's no different. I mean, you're just kind of taking up space. But I'm with you. I mean, the COVID thing, I got it. Guys had maybe 3 or 4 games to play in some instances. That's not fair to them. They deserve another year. But now we're just adding and adding and adding, and it's just too much at this point, man.
$100.9.
And welcome back into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, let's get things rolling again. We got Brandon Clear in about 10 minutes, but we got plenty of time to hear a quick little clip that I kind of thought would be a little bit of the theme of the day, maybe focus a little bit on the offense. this clip from Ryan Grubb not long ago. I think it was from like last week, but it finally kind of circulated really just yesterday or the day before. But we haven't had a chance to listen to it. So I want to listen to this and start here and kind of talk about what he discusses in this clip. So without further ado, let's hear from offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb.
I'm here with Coach Ryan Grubb from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Coach, you're here with a lot of high school coaches in Alabama. How important is recruiting in Alabama to you?
Oh, it's the lifeblood of the program. It starts here. It starts in Alabama. You look at a couple of guys we brought in this year with EJ and Sedarian, and that's what Alabama's been built on for a long, long time.
Yeah, what stands out to you about those two guys?
Wow. They're already here on campus, back in Tuscaloosa, but really, there's a lot of physical characteristics that both of them have. They're outstanding players, but the maturity and the mindset that those two guys have already at this point in their career has been really impressive. So I'm excited to see what they can do this year. They're not going to have to wait long to get on the field.
And another young guy is Keelan Russell. You've got a year and a half with him in the program now. What have you learned about him?
Yeah, Key is a special kid. Our quarterback room in general, I think a lot of people were waiting to see what we do in the portal, and with Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, we got exactly who we need. They're two of the best quarterbacks in the country. Keelan's special. He's got incredible vision, mindset, and just his intelligence on the field is special.
You're making some changes. What improvements do you want to see on the offensive line?
Well, I know everybody's dying to see a little bit better in the run game. Obviously, I would be one of those people. And I think for us, the physical mindset that we got to have week in and week out in the SEC to be successful running the football will be paramount to how we can play next year on offense.
All right, so there you have it. That was offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb speaking to the media. I think like a high school coaches convention, something like that. You guys know they do like the quarterback club or whatever they call those things. But that was that. And quick little clip, but he had a number of things to say on there, Chase. He talked about some of the young guys, speaking of signing day, but two guys that both are already here. You have Crowell and Sedarian Morgan, two players that I'm really excited about, two of the highest rated players. If you guys are into the whole stars, stats, ratings, and rankings thing, but nonetheless, just really good football players. We've talked about them here on the show. We've watched both their tapes, and I think they both have a good chance of seeing the field early. Like he said, if you really just look at both the positions, number one, you look at receiver, not much depth in that room. I think Sedarian Morgan definitely has a good chance, especially with a guy like Horton. Moving on to Texas A&M, you look at it, you got Ryan Williams, you got Latsier Brooks. I know you got Rico Scott, and besides that, you bring in Noah Rogers. Sedarian Morgan for a while was that fifth guy in the room. Now they've added some more bodies, like Keon Zab's younger brother, another high school player or two maybe that they added recently to get some more bodies in there. But that said, I think there's definitely a path for Sedarian Morgan to get out there. And we've always talked about this on the show. You talk about positions that are probably a little bit easier to transition to the next level. Wide receiver, in my opinion, is definitely one of them versus, the trenches. Always going to be a little bit more tough just because, the physical development sometimes that is required. Receiver, you can kind of get away with some of that. So I did say when we initially watched Sedarian Morgan's tape, there wasn't a whole bunch of, him running a bunch of routes or things. It really consisted of him just mossing a bunch of kids and making some incredible catches. So those boxes are checked. Now, I haven't really gotten to see him work in person. Really curious to see in the spring. That's somebody who I want to see kind of move around like on a consistent basis. I want to see how he moves. He's a big bodied guy, but allegedly he moves a lot better than maybe was displayed like on his tape, right? Because again, there's so many highlights of him just making these incredible catches that do require an insane amount of body control. Using his length. He's an incredible player, but I just want to know is he a big body, kind of throw it up to type receiver, or does he have a little bit more fluidity that would allow him to take advantage of even more situations? So that's something I'm paying attention to. But regardless, it sounds like the coordinator, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb is really high on him and definitely makes a lot of sense. Then with Crowell, we all know, and I think Brandon Clear is probably going to bring something up about this because I did see that he tagged us in a picture that he took from watching some tape, and he kind of pointed out, man, that the vision of the backs definitely wasn't where it needed to be. Watching Crowell's tape, matter of fact, I think we had it on yesterday or the day before. Really impressive stuff, man. And we know like there's a number of guys in that running back room, but Chase, I think it's a similar deal, man. There's a path. If he can get in here, transition, learn the playbook, I think there's an opportunity for a guy like that to play early on as well. Now, in terms of what Ryan Grubb said about the running game, let me backtrack. No, he made a comment that I was a little confused about. I don't know, maybe it feels just me, but he mentioned the quarterback room, which we all know we're excited about that quarterback competition. I think it's going to be a great battle. I think you got two really good quarterbacks. But he mentioned the transfer portal with those positions. And I was kind of confused because he made it seem like, people were, eager with the portal and see what they're going to do. Then he brought the quarterbacks up. And I was like, I don't know if anybody necessarily was anticipating a quarterback coming from the portal, other than maybe my dad mentioned it on the show briefly. And it wasn't in the sense of like bringing in a guy that's going to come in and really be looked at to start. He was saying maybe bringing a veteran, since you got two guys that haven't played yet, as number one, like a security option, for if all else fails, and two, to help raise the competition in the room, which actually made sense. Didn't end up happening though. But I don't think people really were expecting a quarterback to be added. Chase, let me ask you: Did you expect us to target a quarterback at all, even in maybe the example like my dad made, or were you thinking we were probably set with the quarterback spot?
I think they were pretty set with the quarterback spot, honestly, Christian. I think with the two quarterbacks coming in for this upcoming season, I think those two complement each other really, really well, and they would bring out the competition that you would need to see who would be the starting QB for this upcoming season. And I think bringing in another quarterback, I think that just throws in too much when you're already trying to figure out your O line. You're already trying to figure out, okay, how is this going to work with this set? And, he mentioned the running game. I feel like quarterback play is not an issue right now. I think more of the running game is something that they've got to figure out, because you can have any quarterback at the starter position. If your running game is not where it needs to be, it's going to be another season of like a what if, or with Ty Simpson, what like we could have been a lot farther if we had a running game. So, but yeah, to answer your question, Christian, no, I don't think Alabama personally was looking for another quarterback in this situation.
No, I didn't think so either. But when my dad brought up that point, I did understand where he was coming from, because you look at the NFL, right? Especially when you have a young quarterback where they draft a young guy, it's very common they'll bring in an older vet that they know is probably not going to play, but if they need him to play, say the young guy is not necessarily ready, which I think either one of these guys will be, or if not both, ready. So I know it's a little bit different, but the point that he was making, it did make sense in that capacity. However, you look at the value of quarterback, and even just bringing in a backup quarterback, the college ranks, I know there's no salary cap, but that still is money that could be, allocated to a different position or someone else, or even retaining players. So probably not as likely. Now, talking about not Ole Miss, LSU yesterday, I want to say they paid not only a guy to come in that they plan on being the starter, but also a backup. Sounds like they're kind of taking a similar route that Lane did at Ole Miss, right? He had two guys that he brought in from transfers, and ended up being the other guy who wasn't expected to start, Chambliss, who didn't start initially, ended up running off with the job. So, I mean, nowadays you can't really be too sure of things, and I think that's what you're starting to see. It's pretty common that, I mean, I guess the more attempts you have, the better chance you have at hitting. So makes some sense there. And last but not least, before we hit the break, he mentioned the running game and wanting to see it better, include himself. And this was kind of interesting, like the wording of that, because I'm like, well, I mean, I get it. You got an offensive line coach, and I know you got offensive line personnel and things. Not everything the coordinator can control, but I don't know, man. I know people might think I'm a little tough on Ryan Grubb, but I just think there's some things that can also be done to give them a better chance as well. And there's just been a couple times, even if you think back to like some of the press conferences that he had earlier on, like in the season, a common theme I feel like I'm noticing with it seems like it always is kind of like deflecting to other people. Is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like normally people are a little bit like, well, we could this, we could that. But I feel like some of his answers that is always kind of like, well, they did this, but we need these guys, and I get it, as a coordinator, you're kind of overseeing everybody, but I don't know. I'm like, well, maybe kind of simplifying some things, kind of finding our niche, our bread and butter. Maybe that would help our guys out too. But we'll see. Hopefully, with him bringing that up, that kind of brings up the whole point of it being a big emphasis is offseason. So, and speaking of O-line, last thing before we hit this break, it's official now. Adrian Clem has been introduced as the next offensive line coach here at the University of Alabama. They officially posted it. So now there's no more, I guess I don't think it really was speculation anymore. Everybody knew what was happening, but you can call it officially official now that the University of Alabama's football page on social media has put up the post, and it shows that he's signed, sealed, and locked in. So there you have it, man. So speaking of the running game, hopefully Mr. Clem, Coach Clem, can come in and help make a difference there because we, God knows we need it. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back. We'll be joined by Brandon Clear on the phone lines. After that, we're going to open them up to you guys, 205-342-9904. If you guys ever forget, by the way, if you're on the stream, it's on the ticker down below. The number kind of goes across. If you're patient, I'm still waiting on it. And there it goes now. So if you forget, 205-342-9904. Quick timeout. Brandon Clear when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC.
This is local Allstate agent Stephen Fikes.
I like Saban's policy of not letting assistants speak to the media. Listen, you know what's so crazy? I'll say this because we're on break real quick. So there's always like a rhyme and reason for like anything and everything that Coach Saban did. And I'm sorry for the people that get mad when we reference Coach Saban, but again, I'm not doing it because I'm comparing the two. I'm doing it because again, that was my experience, and I just know it like the back of my hand, man. Not only him, but everybody, the building, everything. But there's always a method to the madness with Coach Saban. It's just a fact, whether people understand why he's so meticulous or so hands-on with every little thing, like even from the way the grass gets cut. I mean, if you guys knew like literally everything that he had control over, it wouldn't even make sense. But anyway, make sure we got Brandon up here. All right, good. He's up. So I'll say this real quick. So when the new staff first got here, with Coach Saban, like you just said, like he didn't let assistants speak to the media, players. It was very specific. Freshmen never really spoke to the media. It was very rare. And it was very much like, they didn't let the media out at practice. Matter of fact, what happened was they used to let media come to, like individual period. It'd be brief, first, 8-10 minutes, where guys are just doing basic indie drills, and then the media was out of there. But then COVID happened, and then what happened was Coach Saban, they basically just stuck with that rule for the most part, I'm pretty sure. And meaning like they just didn't let people come out to practice. Because they kind of had that excuse. It was like, all right, COVID rules kind of change that. We're just going to stick with them. So there really wasn't much media access. And like you said, assistants never spoke to the media. So when Coach DeBoer got hired, we still had the same media. What are they called? I forgot the name, like the specific name. But you know what I'm saying? Like the media people in charge. And they were kind of explaining like, all right, this is kind of how we've always done things. And it was obviously a really tight ship, really strict. But Coach DeBoer and staff, and I understand, they're new. They wanted to kind of get familiar with everybody and let people, the best way you can really do that is through the media. And so they had started kind of opening up all these channels, like letting there's more access than ever. I just remember like the media was going crazy because they hadn't had this type of access in like years. And I just remember like some of the people like behind the scenes were just like, man, I just don't know about I just don't know about all this, man. And sure enough, what I'm getting at is I think now Coach DeBoer and that staff kind of understands why it was the way it was. Because you see kind of how things have gone over the past couple of years, especially like from the media perspective. That's the media here is tough. Now I wouldn't compare it to New York media necessarily, but I mean we all know. I mean expectations here and everything it's different. So now it's almost like they're trying to kind of walk back that stuff. Like they're kind of tightening things up again. And I'm just like, man, like they tried to warn him. They tried to give him a heads up when he first got here, but I understand they're trying to get familiar. But unfortunately, man, you can't roll like that. And welcome back into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, we got our first guest on the phone line today. 205-342-9904 is the number. We're going to open up to you guys once we finish up. But first, we got our guy Brandon Clear on the line, former Clemson wide receiver. Call him a college football analyst at this point, man, the way he breaks things down. Brandon, welcome in, man. How's everything going?
Favorite today, man. I'm feeling great. I'm so happy to be here with the Miller's Edge family. And as always, man, thank you so much for the opportunity to chime in.
Oh, of course, brother. Welcome anytime, man. We love getting Brandon Clear on here, man. It's always a good time, and we always enjoy it. I know listeners always are saying amen in the chat. So I want to start here, Brandon, because it is signing day. I know it doesn't feel like it, but believe it or not, it is National Signing Day. Do you remember your signing day? Did you do anything big? Did you go big and beyond? Did you have the table set up? Did you fake out the media? Did you have multiple hats? You toss one in the crowd? What was your signing day like, man? Tell me.
So back in the day, man, this is '07. Our signing day, we had 15 guys, and out of the 15, 12 went D1. So our team was stacked.
Dang.
And yeah, and I have a twin brother, so my twin brother played with me as well. So he also played at Clemson. And it was during that time, man, everyone knew where you were going. There was no fake out. You made your decision, and on that signing day, there was no confusion on where you were going. So a very, very easy process. You love it because folks are there. The attention wasn't going towards one school or the other. You just knew exactly where guys were going. And, the claim to fame at Hoover was getting your name on the board for going D1. So my brother and I both had that, which was an amazing feat. And, Hoover did it first class. So they had the gymnasium rented out. They blocked off time. So from noon to 1 o'clock, the entire school was there to support the player signing. So each one of the guys got their names read. They talked about what school they were going to, and we got to say a couple of words, and then we signed the dotted line.
Dang, man. Okay, so hold on. '07 Hoover, was that around the time they were filming the show and all that? Y'all had all that attention? Was that era or a little bit before?
Yeah. No, I was actually on the show, bro.
Bro, I used to
one
watch
of the
that
main
show.
characters on the show.
Man, that's fire. I used to watch that show. It's been a while since I've seen it, but so you were with Pruitt then.
I was, man. Coach Pruitt was the defensive coordinator. Ross Wilson was my quarterback, and so I was one of the main characters on the show. It was really cool because my brother and I had just moved into the state. We were only there for a year because my dad got relocated because he was in the military, and my mom had found the school. So we got to visit, do all those things, and we kind of had to almost do a tryout to make the Hoover squad. So football over there, it was 7A football, man. It was top notch, and people had to really, fight to get on the field. You weren't given anything. So, when we showed up, we didn't know what was going to happen. And, I was able to get in there and make an impact pretty immediately. And, Coach Pruitt was the defense coordinator, man. I was giving his guys work. So, he can attest to it if you ever talk to him. He'll know who I am.
Man, that's funny. If I ever run into him, I'm definitely going to have to ask him, man. That's funny. I got this picture pulled up. I'm gonna throw it on the stream screen real quick. This is me on signing day, man. When I tell you it was as bare bones as it gets. You see my dad, he looked kind of sharp right there. He had a nice little pinstripe suit right there. Listen, I didn't do any of the fake out stuff. When I tell you, like, I had my stuff ready to go. Me and my mom found a nice little like sweater vest type deal that I'm wearing in that picture right there. I got that hat, I think, when I was on a visit here. Matter of fact, I think I got the vest from the soup store when I was on a visit, man. I just wanted to get it over with. I didn't even want to. I hate it. When I tell you I hated attention, I'm still not a fan of it to this day. I mean, I do radio and broadcasting just because I enjoy talking football. But man, when I tell you I wanted to get it out the way, so like my commitment and stuff, already, like, it was so basic. I literally just, I think it was in July. I wanted to be done. I wanted to have it over with before my senior year so I could just enjoy it, focus on football, hang out with my friends. And I just remember I just called, coach, told him I was committing, and then that was it. I stopped taking visits. I only took one official visit, and then signing day came, signed my name, took some photos, then went back to class. So yeah, mine was pretty simple too. Now we didn't have 15 D1 players. Now we did have some others, and really cool thing is, matter of fact, now that I think about it, another guy that I did signing day with, John Miller, and I mentioned him over the last few weeks, but he went on to play at James Madison, won a national championship or two there, and now he's Indiana's running backs coach. So I was hoping I could have found a picture with both of us in there. But anyway, it's really cool stuff. I always like asking guys on their experience and their story because I know back in the day, I mean, it definitely was, still a big deal. I feel like nowadays, man, it's kind of changed a little bit because you got the early signing day period, and I don't think people do as, I don't know. Maybe they still do it, but I don't know. I don't feel like I see as much. I see some guys go on TV and make their decisions, but that's about it. Then they enroll in college, and a lot of the times these guys, I mean, they don't even care about their senior year in high school. For me, I was like sentimental. I'm like, man, I want to enjoy my last year, senior year in high school. But yeah, totally different world. Because even today, I don't even know maybe Chase had pulled it up. I don't even know who all we signed officially. I know Keon Sabb's younger brother. He's a late addition. Maybe a couple of those players that we announced, maybe that committed over the last 2 weeks. Outside of that, I want to say majority of our guys are already on campus. And speaking of our guys, Brandon, let me ask you this, man. We just listened to a clip from Ryan Grubb. I want to start here. He mentioned the quarterbacks. No need to go in the portal. He felt like they've got everything they need in that room, which I agree. I think, either one of those guys can be a really good player for us. How are you feeling about that quarterback battle right now? I know it's way too early, and clearly we haven't, seen anything. But just seeing what you saw last season, a guy like Keelan Russell, he got some opportunities, and boy, was he impressive. The way the ball comes off his hand, really smooth. Ryan Grubb talked about how great his vision is. Then you got Austin Mack, a little bit older, been in the system, big body guy. He's 6'6", 230, can move. Looked pretty solid when he came in for an injured tie in the Rose Bowl. What are your thoughts on that quarterback position?
So I do agree that I don't think they needed to go into the portal to pull out another quarterback unless they were going for a more senior guy that maybe was coming from a smaller school that wanted to step up in competition, but knew that they would most likely be, third string quarterback, come in for relief in those urgent moments. But between those two, very talented. I'm a Keelan Russell guy just because I've seen him, the struggle that he had to get to the point. He wasn't a 5-star initially. A lot of folks were clowning Alabama for offerings because at that point he was a 3-star. He was committed to SMU. The coaches had found him and they saw the potential. And so, here's this 3-star guy. He flips over to Alabama and people were giving us work talking about how can we, we're downgrading, we're headed in the wrong direction. And then lo and behold, you see Keelan Russell just shoot out. And, I personally believe that he was the number 1 quarterback. And, he has moxie. He has calmness about him. He has arm strength. He has mobility. And the game just looks really easy when he's playing. And that's why I compare him to Bryce Young. His measurables are way better than Bryce ever would be on an off day, right? He's like 6'2", 6'3". He's got to get a little bit bigger. But I just see he has a presence in the pocket that you just can't coach, right? And I think that a lot of people sometimes look for that. And Austin Mack, he has grown tremendously, but he's one of those guys that was an early enrollee. He had a bunch of credits. He was a junior, and somehow he was able to bypass his senior year. So he was another one of those young guys. He was a 3-star prospect coming out. He got to Washington. He redshirted, obviously, because he hadn't played enough. And, he's waited his time. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins, but I'm leaning towards Keelan because I can see the potential. And, they've got both quarterbacks locked in. So regardless of how the thing shakes out, Grubb has those guys. But all of that is going to be all for naught if they do not get the offensive line and the run game settled. If you're a young quarterback, the one thing you need is stability around you. And it's so good to be able to hand the ball off and ensuring that your running backs are going to pick up 3 to 4 yards and take pressure off from those linebackers just bearing down into the gap. And so, I sent over an image to you, Christian, earlier of just looking. I'm like, man, the running backs didn't have a lot of vision. It was so fascinating to see that we have these top-tier running backs, and I don't know what it is. Maybe their eyes are not seeing what they're expecting, or maybe it's just them having missed assignments, but a lot of them would just cut back. Even Dan Miller, it was just weird when you would see the hole. And so one thing, where it's Super Bowl Sunday coming up, Henderson, the running back for the Patriots, that's why he hasn't really seen the field. They were showing a cut of him, and he was having struggles pressing the line and setting up blocks or even hitting the holes when the holes were there. And I was like, man, this looks eerily similar to what's going on at Bama and why our running backs are struggling. So the quarterback success will be directly tied to our running game this year, in my opinion. And that offensive line is going to get better. I think Clem coming in, you're going to see some improvements. But I'm hoping that Ryan Grubb has some humility and offloads some of those run game responsibilities to Clem, who has experience doing it.
Yeah, I said the same thing, man, and I've said it over the past few years. I think the key to the whole puzzle right now is the offensive line. I said it last season, the season before, and they've got to improve. And I think the first step is, making a change, seeing if, a guy like Clem can come in. I like what you said, maybe handing some keys over. And even if it's just a matter of getting letting their eyes and ears get on things. Even like Nick's always bring that up. But I mean, the dude was a running backs coach for 9 years? Let it be a by committee type thing. Because sometimes, man, like you can't always have all the answers. Sometimes somebody else might have an idea or perspective. You know what I mean? And I just think that could be beneficial for that room. But I'm with you, man. I think with a young quarterback, whoever it is, they need that running game. They need that offense line to help, and that's just why I'm really putting a lot on that position right now, the offensive line, because they've got to step up. And I think the better they are, the better this offense is, which the better the team will be in turn as well. We're joined by former Clemson wide receiver Brandon Clear, who joins us weekly here on the Miller's Edge. Brandon, I got to ask you, you mentioned about that clip in the backs, man. We talked about the offensive line, but in terms of fixing the backs, I mean, Robert Gillespie, I mean, he's a respected coach. I mean, matter of fact, he recruited me to Tennessee coming out of high school. Speaking of signing day and all that stuff, but he's done some great work over the years. I mean, what do you think needs to happen to get these? I mean, do you just think, unfortunately, the backs that we have just didn't have great vision naturally? Because that is, I mean, listen, not everybody sees things equally. That is a thing. But do you think, I mean, coaching wise, I mean, how do you think we fix that in terms of the backs now? We talked about the offensive line, but the back specifically, do you think it's just a matter of maybe one of these young guys comes in and he's the solution? What do you think?
So I think that Xavier Carrell is going to be a dynamic player. The one issue I've always had with playing very young running backs are blocking. Blocking schemes confuse the heck out of them. They oftentimes whiff on blocks. If you can get a freshman to come in there and do what they have to as far as picking up a running, blitzing linebacker, picking up a corner blitz, really being able to scan and understand blocking assignments, then you'll have an opportunity to get on the field. And that's one of the reasons why you really didn't see A.K. Deere. He had a missed assignment in the SEC championship game against Georgia. He just whiffed. And a lot of times there's a lot happening. And so when your offensive line is struggling and they're not picking up blocks, and then you're expecting a young guy, a running back, to come in and really get in there and get their nose dirty, you're asking a lot. And so, again, Daniel Hill, I'm a fan of. I just don't think he plays with as much power as his size would really, dictate. With that amount of size, man, I'm going to expect you to put your face mask in the chest of anybody that's trying to come in there, and they make those blitzers think twice. And you just never saw that. And I was surprised. Look, Jam Miller at least had an excuse. The Jam was actually in 04. He did a really good job of picking up the blitz. He was getting blasted a lot of times on those run pass options because he was just selling it. And oftentimes he was picking up those blocks. And he regressed a little bit because of his injury. And so I'm not going to hold him completely responsible for that. But if you're Gillespie, you have to make it very clear from the front. If you can't block, you're not going to play. And we're going to play the best guy that's actually executing at the highest level by doing the dirty work. You don't just get handoffs and make this thing go. I do agree with you from the vision perspective. Some running backs are gifted with it. Adrian Peterson was one of those rare people that were able to come in with the size and the skill set, one, but also the vision and knowing when to press and when to cut back. That is a very rare quality. And so, Xavier, again, he has some of that because I've seen it. I've seen it at a level that is consistent. A.K. Deere is another one, but again, that was at a lower level of competition. So when you step up and you're playing in the SEC schedule, I got to kind of see exactly what you can do when you're facing that level of competition. Gillespie, I think this is a make or break year. I think he's a phenomenal guy. He's been blessed with some gifted running backs in the previous years. I think a lot of people have Gibbs on his list, but look, Gibbs was almost a finished product before he got to Alabama. He didn't need the stage, and we gave him the stage, and he showed out. He also struggled in blocking pickup schemes. It wasn't something that he was naturally great at, and he's actually progressively gotten better even in the NFL. So as a running backs coach, and I think Nick will potentially have some input here, and I think he can help out, but I think that Gillespie, your coaching has to show on the field. If your guys are missing blocks, if your guys are not showing a toughness and knowing how to pick up these blocks, I find it very hard that you can't find the running backs coach responsible for some of the things you're seeing on the field. And they've got to just start shortening down and saying, hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and give this open field trial. Everyone's going to have an opportunity. We'll see who shakes out. And I would be telling Kane Womack during fall camp, I want you to blitz every single period. Random blitzes. And we're going to have one of the offensive linemen whip intentionally, and we want to see what these running backs are about. Christian, when you watch the NFL's Senior Bowl, you saw that those drills they had where the linebackers are like 10 yards back coming full speed at the running back.
Yeah,
said,
that was wild.
This is a culture. Oh yeah, it's a cultural thing, man. I'm telling you, bro. You gotta have some pack down low, and you gotta be able to take it because you have to deliver a punch. You can't just take and absorb the contact and expect that you're gonna win. So this is a mentality that a lot of these running backs. This is a college-wide thing that I think college running backs struggle with. You don't just get to have the style points. You got to be able to be a willing blocker and show that you have a toughness, or else you're not going to get on the field.
No, you're 100% right. And that drill was a little wild because they were separated a lot. Matter of fact, I got a clip right here. At least it looked like it. That clip don't look like it as separated. But I saw a couple that did look like you said, like 10 yards. I'm like, damn, they look like you're going back to park ball when you're doing Oklahoma drills, but you're that far apart. They want to see what they're talking about investing millions of dollars in these young men. And that's a big piece. And we were talking about this yesterday because I know some fans, when they see a guy like Crowell's tape and they're like, oh, man, he's the solution. He's going to come in and play. I'm like you mentioned, not only do you have to be able to pick things up and learn the playbook because you saw, A.K. Deer got in the SEC championship game. There's a reason why he wasn't ready, right? I don't think he had a full grasp of what he truly was supposed to be doing. And then you bring up, pass pro. And I will say this, Kane Womack, when they go on, good on good, he calls a lot of pressure. He dials it up in practice. So they should be getting some valuable reps with that. But you're right, it's got to be even better because if you go back, a number of the sacks that we had this season is quick to, just always put everything on the offensive line. But if you break it down, Vanderbilt game, I want to say there might have been a sack on one of the backs. Ty held the ball too long. But then I know for sure Oklahoma, there was at least two that were, on the running backs. And it just got to be better. And it to me, I hear exactly what you're saying. Look, I love Coach G. I think he does a nice job. But at the same time, you look and you're like, all right, it looks like every back has a shared problem with not pressing the hold or really seeing things the way they should. I'm not saying it's like his fault, but like maybe we need to reevaluate kind of what we're doing in practice or the things that maybe we're not doing. Because I'm like, there's got to be somebody in that damn room that can see. Or maybe they need to get a vision specialist in there, get some glasses or some goggles that some guys used to wear. That picture you showed, matter of fact, let me try to pull it up real quick. That one was definitely head scratching. But you got Daniel Hill. It looks like I don't know. I don't know if he didn't even glance or feel that. But you see this hole right there in that A gap off of Parker Brailsford, and I don't know. But I didn't see the full clip, so I don't know exactly what was the whole thing. But anyway, it's kind of interesting when you think about that. All right, Brandon, I got to ask you real quick in terms of overall outlook, man. We've been talking about this because I think the schedules are coming out, not schedules, but like the predictions and things like that. A lot of people are doing way too early predictions. And I think a lot of people are kind of seeing Alabama as, right now, again, where the roster stands is pre-spring, a lot can change, maybe in that 9-3 type range. But when you look at the schedule, and I don't know if you've seen it or off the top of your head, but you have a stretch in the middle which we've had over the last couple of years, not really anything new. But you get that stretch where you've got Georgia, you got Tennessee on the road, you got A&M, and then you go on the road at LSU. When you look at these teams in this schedule that we have, how do you feel like Alabama is built right now? Again, I know it's way too early. We haven't seen much, but I'll read it out for you just in case you don't know it. You got East Carolina to start the season. You go on the road to Kentucky, which a lot of people think that could be a very interesting game, right? New staff and whatnot over there. Florida State, Gus Malzahn is gone. South Carolina, they brought back a lot of their guys and brought in a lot through the transfer portal. We know they always play us tough. You got Beamer ball coming. You got on the road at Mississippi State, that stretch we just talked about, versus Georgia at home, at Tennessee, A&M at home, who I think is going to be another good team again. LSU on the road. We just saw what Lane Kiffin did in the portal. He just went on a shopping spree. At Vanderbilt versus Chattanooga, and then we wrap things up with the Iron Bowl at home, man. So where's your overall outlook right now? Way too early.
Yeah, that's to be honest with you, that's a brutal schedule, and I don't know how Alabama keeps getting the luck of the draw with the SEC schedule. It's just tough. And if I were them, I would have canceled the game with Florida State. I don't see right now with how the schedules are being set. Ohio State or the Big Ten, they're benefiting from maybe having one tough out-of-conference game. So I do give them credit for that. But they don't face the same grind. I know a lot of people roll their eyes when you say that, but I'm just looking at the competition. And Caleb Downs said it best. He said, man, the SEC, I had to show up every week. You go to Kentucky, you're going to be facing a fight. The fans are in it. The players are physical. You're going to have that type of talent. It's not the same when you're playing Purdue. It's not the same when you're playing Rutgers. It's just different levels to it. And so this is where I have a leaning towards a 9-3, but don't be shocked that I'd say the worst case scenario would be 8-4. I just, because of the young team and because of we're going to be young up front and because we're going to have a young quarterback, I just don't have a lot of confidence that when you get into the meat of that schedule, you're not going to run into some struggles, but you're hoping the defense can kind of carry you through some of that. And Florida State just lost Gus Malzahn, so they're going to see potential regression because they're going to be changing schemes, and you just got to kind of ride the wave. But it makes me a little nervous about the season, but you're right. We got to get through the spring, see how the fall goes. And I've got this team has a lot of talent. We just got to really just trust the process, and hopefully some of these coaching changes enable some growth with the team, and we actually see progression, much of what we saw last year. So I'm hopeful, Christian, but we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one thing, and we were talking with Wyatt yesterday about this. I mean, those first, I would say 5 games, they're definitely all very winnable. I think South Carolina, in my opinion, probably the biggest one that you maybe are a little concerned with, just knowing you got Sellers back. I think they brought Nick Harbor back. I know they brought Dylan Stewart back. And then they went to the transfer portal. They got the young man from NC State, that left tackle that we were discussing, and other players. So they're going to have a good team. They always seem to kind of, I hate to say it, but underperform with some of the guys that they do have. But, you know, I think if you can fare well in those first 5 games, if you can go 2-2 in that gauntlet right there, I think the ceiling probably would be around that maybe 10-2 type deal. I think that's doable. Will be very tough, and that would probably require you playing your best ball. But I think, you know, the reality is we know how hard it is. Even, I mean, you can't even overlook those first 5 games. I mean, think about how college football is now. You know, like South Carolina, Florida State, I think a lot of people overlooked them last year. I said going into the game, too many people are just checking this box just because of what they were. Those guys went to the portal. They had Malzahn, and we saw the result. But hopefully it's a different tale this season. Brandon, I appreciate you hopping on with us. Great stuff as always, man, and look forward to doing it again next week, brother.
Same here, bro. Roll Tide and stay blessed, everyone.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Roll Tide, brother. Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver and Hoover Buccaneer, like he said, man. He was a star on that show. We might need to pull up some clips real quick on YouTube during the timeout. We're going to hit that top of the break. When we come back, we'll go to the phone lines. I think we got Nick, and we're going to keep on rolling with you guys. 205-342-9904 is the number. Keep on discussing things right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Good stuff as always, man. Brandon's great, man. And we met him on here, man. Matter of fact, he said he's always been a listener of the show, then started getting him on here, man. Great dude. Check him out on social media. I know I always tell him he can plug whatever he wants to plug, but I think he just enjoys doing it. But I think, let me see, what's his Twitter? Because I know some of you guys are asking for it one time. At @bclear_pause32. Catch up on some of these chats because I know I'm behind. Sharpshooters, what's up, guys? We got Coach Al. We got Jake. What's up, man? Yeah, that was a young me, man. I was, probably 17? I think I was 17. May the best man win. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I think Keelan's got the higher ceiling of the two, but I wouldn't be shocked if Matt kind of has the early edge just because he's been in the system, like maybe 2 extra years, right? Yeah, it'd be 2 extra years because he had that 1 year at Washington. So I think that might give him a little bit of an edge. But personally, I think if you want your best chances to win, based on what I've seen, folks I've talked to, I think Keelan Russell's going to be the guy. It's really just a matter of how quick you can try to get him to the level that you need him. Even though I know you guys probably are like, what are you talking about, man? He looked great when he played, but you got to remember there's a big difference between coming in there and playing in some of those games that we saw him in last year and being a consistent starter and going against the likes of Georgia, Tennessee on the road, A&M, just having that understanding of this offense. And I've talked about this, but the offense it's a very complicated offense. So I mean, I'm really curious to see kind of maybe Grubb's approach. Maybe they try to do some things a little bit different. Probably not. I don't really see that happening, but probably wouldn't hurt them. More I've talked to folks, man, more is kind of makes a little bit more sense on why. I mean, if you go back and really pay attention, even a guy like Ty, who's probably one of the smartest players that you could ask for. I mean, the fact that you see him and riding the clock down, and all this going on, I think they're just putting a lot on these players, and I think it probably would benefit them. They probably would get more out of these guys, but maybe simplifying it, rolling it back a little bit. But we'll see. My guy Adam Adam is Adam is crazy, man. Adam with another super chat. Christian, after 15 years of great quarterbacks, AJ, Coker, Jalen, Tua, Mac, Bryce, Milroe, and Ty, honestly don't know if Mac or Keelan Russell are on that level already. Am I wrong to be concerned? Adam, you know I love you to death. You're my guy. But I am going to say on this one, golly, man, better get out of the way now before we get back on air. Which is probably good. You'd probably rather me tell you I disagree. But I am going to tell you respectfully, politely, I have to disagree on that one. I do believe I'll say Keelan Russell for sure in terms of his ceiling, his potential. He's on that level. And I would even throw Austin Mack, like, and Coker's my guy. I mean, we all know that. Well, if you didn't, you do. That's my guy. I would say Austin Mack is more talented than at least probably. I hate saying it like that. It sounds like that. It sounds bad when you say it like that. But I'm just saying, like, from a player perspective. I mean, Coker probably would even say that. And Coker was a dog. Don't get me wrong. Coker was, I mean, had a cannon of an arm. He was tough, big dude, man. I mean, I love Coker at quarterback. But I'm just saying, watching Austin Mack, I would argue Austin Mack is, on talent, based on talent. Now I don't know about intangibles yet, and him going and leading the team. And Coker led us to a championship. But in terms of just straight arm talent, I mean, I would say Austin Mack's definitely in that conversation with some of those guys that you listed. Keelan Russell, without a doubt. Keelan Russell, I would say Keelan Russell is, honestly, I mean, shoot, outside of maybe Bryce. Bryce is going to be like here in terms of arm talent and just straight talent in general. Bryce is different with his vision, pocket ability, just making plays, being clutch. I would probably have Bryce up there. Tua in college was definitely up there too. Who else you have on there? It starts getting muddy after that, man. You got to show love to AJ. I mean, AJ, I feel like is kind of underrated as a player just because he probably had, a lot of talent around him. Not like the other guys didn't, but I feel like maybe AJ didn't stand out as much as maybe some of the others. I know he won more, but hear what I'm saying. We ran the ball a lot. It just looked a little bit different when he was at quarterback versus maybe the likes of like Tua or even Bryce. But AJ was damn good quarterback too. But anyway, to answer your question, I would say no. I think both those guys are capable to win you football games, without a doubt. Just what I've seen and everybody I've talked to up there, I mean, they are extremely high on Keelan Russell, and rightfully so. I just always tell people this though, where Keelan's at. I mean, he's a true freshman last year. He's young, and I just talked about this system. I mean, if you ask anybody in that building, this offense is very complicated. Keelan wasn't there. If you asked Keelan Russell to be the starter last year, I mean, he would have had a number of turnovers, things like. I mean, he wasn't ready yet. I mean, talent wise, he's talented as can be, but to really operate the offense and be able to have command and know, all right, because I mean the things that they throw at these guys. I mean, it's not just. I mean, you look at like all the checks you have Ty doing. You gotta know protections. I mean, it's just a lot. But I think if Keelan Russell can get to that point where he has a better mastery of the offense, I think he's going to end up being the guy. But it just wouldn't shock me if Austin Mack has an early edge on him. But I don't think you should be too concerned with that, Adam. I think the bigger concern is the offensive line, without a doubt. I mean, the offensive line is going to dictate how those guys fare. It's going to dictate how the running game looks this year compared to the last couple seasons. It's going to really dictate the whole offense. You know, I've been saying that for a couple years, and people are finally starting to listen to us. But that would be the biggest thing, Adam, is offensive line. Those two guys, I think you're more than okay with. The only thing that they really lack is the experience part, which is really important, especially when you look at postseason play. A lot of experienced quarterbacks typically fare a little bit better. But hold on, we'll get back to that. Let me bring us back. And welcome back into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Big thanks to Brandon Clear, former Clemson wide receiver and former Hoover Buccaneer, who joined us weekly here on the show. Always, man, great talking to Brandon. Really good stuff. Great delivery, great insight. It's always a pleasure, so we appreciate him being gracious with his time. All right, we're going to keep on rolling on the phone lines. I got a good question from Adam. We were talking a little bit about the offense, kind of the outlook for 2026. We heard from Ryan Grubb, quick little minute and a half clip. He talked about some of the young players. He talked about the quarterbacks, talked about improving the running game. But we're talking about the quarterbacks right now because Adam had a question during the break. Shout out to Adam again, one of our partners here on the show. I'll give you guys more information on everything that he's got going in a second. But let me bring up the question to our radio audience. He was asking about Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, and do we believe that they're on that level already in terms of the likes of, you know, some of the guys that we've seen over the last, 15 years or so, from AJ to Jake Coker, national championship quarterback in 2015, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mack, Bryce, Milroe, then you had Ty this past year. And so we were giving our thoughts on that, which I said, I think from a talent level, I think both those guys, without a doubt, you know, are more than capable. To me, I think Keelan Russell has a chance to leave here, you know, being on the I'm not saying the same level as a guy like Bryce. I mean, what Bryce did, being a Heisman winner. So, I mean, that's not easy to do. But you just look at the tools and traits that Keelan has. I think he has the ceiling and the potential to, if anybody's going to come close to doing something like that, I think it would be him. But I think Mac just has a little bit of an edge with that, you know, I guess his veteran presence right now. But really good question. But yeah, I don't think the quarterbacks are the concern. I think the offensive line, all eyes should be right there. The offensive line and that running game. I think if you fix that problem, I think everything else offensively should be, you know, should just kind of fall into place. But then Adam mentioned Bryce against Tennessee, and he was doing that. Man, he didn't have great protection that game either. I remember he was getting hit. They had a couple cheap shots on him, it looked like. I don't know if you guys remember those, but that was what made Bryce just had like a gene in him that was just different. You know, that clutch gene. Now, it made sense. I think his father was, you know, like a mental coach, like a not necessarily therapist, but something along the lines. And it was evident. I mean, Bryce never wavered under pressure, literally, right? When he was facing pressure from a defensive line coming after him, I mean, he always kept his eyes downfield, navigated the pocket. He was like a magician, man. I mean, dude is just special. So hard to put expectations on, you know, young guys to try to fill shoes like that. But I think even if they could just play at a level where, I mean, they got some good skill guys to throw the ball to. And hopefully these backs can play a little bit better. I think they'll be all right. But really, really interesting question right there. All right, let's go to the phone line, 25342-9904. We're going to keep hitting some more of these chat messages here in a minute. But let me get back to the phone lines real quick because I know Nick has been waiting. Nick, welcome in.
Hey, Christian, roll tide, man. I remember when you used to play. You was a good player, man. But,
thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Man, I believe on the O-line, we got a young, talented team. Now, it depends on how well they mesh up together and how what's his name, the O-line coach, you know, can get started on them and get them going, you know. if it's just a little better than last year, and I believe in our running backs. I think we got some good ones, and I think from Xavier Crowell coming in, they said it'd be hard to keep him off the field, I mean, he's just got vision. If you watch his highlight tapes, man, he's got real good vision, and I'm excited to see him come in. But we've got some other good running backs, and if we can just get that where we can, get 4, 5, 6 yards on first down, and if Ryan Grubb, man, he's got to get where he's more committed to running the ball a little more and then set up the pass. That's what helps these receivers with the pass, and the quarterback is running the ball. You know that. And I'm sick of these Bama fans that have unrealistic expectations, and are fire, Kalen DeBoer, and because I believe in Kalen DeBoer. I saw from year 1 to year 2 that he was learning to coach in the SEC. He was getting better, and it just left a sour taste in everybody's mouth getting dominated by Indiana. But they just wasn't ready. They just wasn't ready for them guys, and so what do you think about our O-line? Do you think it's going? Only time will tell how good they're going to get. Do you think? I'm kind of thinking we might have a 9-3 season, but I'm hoping that we could have a 10-2. I don't know though.
Yeah, and hell, I mean, shoot, technically you can always have undefeated too, right? I mean, obviously, if you're talking about just breaking things down, that's very, very, very challenging to do. But and it's really early, so I just want to be clear. Every time we're talking about this stuff, it's just way too early. Predictions and going off, at least on our show, we go off of kind of additions, subtractions, other teams. But anyway, to answer your question about the offensive line, it's hard to say, Nick, because it's very similar there. I mean, just like the coaches, the reality is the coaches don't even know what they have out of this offensive line unit right now, right? Like that's why I say if anybody is trying to sell you guys a thing where the offensive line will be better, is going to be better because the truth is the coaches don't even know what they have. And the reason I say that is you've got only one returning true starter. I mean, if you throw Will Sanders in there who played some valuable snaps, I mean, you got 2 guys that have played a little bit on that line. The rest are either, were true freshmen pretty much last year or young guys. And really, you brought in maybe 9 almost new faces, maybe not that many, but it felt like that. I don't remember the exact number. But what I'm getting at is all the guys that they just brought in, they've never even worked with yet, right? Like they have not been on a field with these guys. The only thing that they're doing right now is workouts. I mean, so if the coaches maybe stroll past the weight room, they might see them, doing some bench, doing some power clean, some squats, but that's about it. They haven't seen what these guys are as football players. So in terms of that unit, spring is going to be the first glimpse you even have at what the offensive line could be. Now, you make a change with the position coach. I think it should, work out pretty well. Again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a whole bunch about Adrian Clem because I don't. I'm just going off of the things that I've read up on him, asked one of my former teammates that played for him, and everything that I've heard and research. Man, to me, I think it could be a good fit. I just like the fact that when my teammate told me that he's a great developer of young talent, right? He's very intentional about breaking down tape of the defensive line, the pass rushers. To me, that shows a guy that's going to really teach players, right? You're not just saying, "Oh, we need to do this." I'm not just yelling and screaming. He's breaking it down. And plus, he was a player himself. He played in the National Football League like 7 years. I always feel like those guys just have a special knack to really connect with players. So hopefully the developmental piece of it can be better because that's going to be, I mean, everything. Because you're talking about a whole bunch of new guys that a lot of them haven't played a whole bunch of football. You really only have the center from Cal Poly who's played meaningful snaps, Michael Carroll, and then the young man from, I guess, Mississippi State. He started like 9 games, and then you also had the Texas guy. He started like 3 or 4. Outside of that, a lot of these guys haven't played. So we'll have to see. I see a way that it could definitely be improved with the new coach, new bodies that, are probably the guys are probably hungry. They're competing. Maybe they fit a little bit better. But I also could see a world where there could be some growing pains, and it might not necessarily be a huge improvement, but maybe a slight improvement. But we'll not really, nobody can really know until at least maybe even spring at the earliest. But hopefully it's better because I think everything's pretty much riding on that.
Yeah, and I also heard, I don't know how true it is, but that they're going to bring, since the issues were fixed and there's no more spring portal now, that they were going to bring back the A-Day game. And I think that'd be great so us as fans can kind of see what we got and, and what's going on. Because, man, I'm 45. I grew up during, I've seen the good, the bad, the great, I've seen a lot, and you get a better idea of what you got when you can see the real A-Day game.
I'm not sure. That's a good point. I think I saw you guys talking about that in the chat. I'll have to ask. I don't know what the plans are. I don't even think they probably have any concrete plans right now. They're probably still working through that. But you're right with the spring portal no longer being a thing. I think that was a big reason why a lot of coaches were electing to go away from it because they didn't want to deal with the tampering, which people do regardless. Anyways, we've heard plenty of stories about that with no spring games anyway. But I don't know. I think at this point, why not bring it back? And if anything, with NIL still being very prevalent, find ways to maximize, the revenue from it to contribute. Now, I'm not saying that to put more on the fans because they've already asked you guys a lot. I mean, this whole NIL era, it feels like everything is now monetized to try to raise money, but it's part of it, unfortunately. Yeah. And I don't want another thing for fans. I've always been an advocate. Let's stop putting so much on the fans. Let's try to put more on generating revenue from businesses and actual, because there's all these TV deals and whatnot. But that said, why not bring it back? Hopefully they do. I know it's always fun to have A-Day. I thought the format that they did last year, I don't think it was bad. I think it was, very, very similar to what they do in the fall. I think like fan days, what they call it. But I wouldn't mind having A-Day back. But we'll see, man. I think that is definitely a good possibility potentially with the portal being shifted a little bit. But Nick, I appreciate you calling, man. Great to hear from you, and we'd love to have you call back another time, brother.
All right, man. Well, roll Tide always. I'll never give up on my team, sir.
Oh yeah, ain't no giving up, man. Like you said, I mean, it's just college football nowadays. It might have a little more of a challenge to kind of get to the promised land, but that's part of it, man. It just makes the victory that much sweeter when you do get there. But Nick, we appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. Take care. All right, we got to hit a timeout. Staying on schedule. When we come back, we'll go back to the phone lines. We got our buddy Carson, and we got a couple more things we'll hit on right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
It's all at the Spiller Furniture Mattress wall-to-wall clearance sale. Get up to.
Let's see what we got in the chat. Let's see. Fans need a sample. Bring back A-Day. Yeah, y'all gonna have to convince some other. Just the fans need a sample, man. That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna move the needle for them. That's why I was saying maybe find a way to I don't know, make it a little more, not like charge fans, but I mean, I'm sure there's probably something they could do to find a way to make it where, I don't know, it's a good benefit. Even if it was maybe like $5 to get in or something. I know that's, I guess, still putting that on the fans, but maybe that's a little bit of an incentive for them to actually bring it back to the original format. Georgia had a young team, but got better last year. Absolutely. Absolutely, Louis. By the end of the year, man, those young guys really play like their offensive line. I remember earlier on in the year when they played Tennessee, rotating guys, they were struggling, but by the end, they looked much better as a unit. And that's what comes with getting guys reps, And I don't think they no, I don't think they rotated some guys here and there, but it wasn't like what we were doing. I mean, at some point you have to find your guys and you got to just let them go through those growing pains, you know? That's why I hope this upcoming season, and I would be shocked if we saw the same amount of rotating up front on the offensive line. I mean, you got a new offensive line coach. I mean, there's going to be a lot of attention on that group during the spring. Like, to me, go through the spring, get these guys reps at a number of different positions, see where they fit best. That way you can go into summer knowing, all right, this guy can play. We can play him a little bit at guard. We can play him at tackle. We know what he can bring and what he offers there. Boom. Going into the summer while they're going back to workouts. And then there's like 7-on-7 periods, offensive line, defensive line. Sometimes they'll do one-on-ones, do some indie drill type stuff. Those guys are working more at their, I guess, new respective positions, or at least where they probably anticipate playing those guys. And then when you get into fall camp, you're not sitting here trying to figure out. You still will be rotating. You still will get guys reps at different positions. I'm not saying it completely ends, but I would probably, if it was me, take the spring and try to get as much of that, not necessarily out the way, but to a point where you don't feel like you're having to sit there and do all that during camp. With injuries and stuff, you're going to be moving guys around regardless. But that would be the approach I had if I was making that decision. That way, we're not sitting here doing this whole thing for 6, 7, 8 games, having a guy go from tackle to guard, from tackle to then put this guy here and then put him at. I mean, it's like musical chairs, man. And for a position group that requires continuity, gelling, working together. I mean, come on, man. You can't do that. Defensive line, totally different. Offensive line, can't do it. What do they do for the Alabama folks? Can we get like a scaled down version of that for $10? I don't know. You're talking about like for A-Day? I think, what is it? If you're a member, you get to do like the autograph session. So I guess they already incentivize stuff, but I meant like even like add something different. That way, maybe encourages them to do a little bit more, or at least go back to the original format. I don't know. All food sales go to NIL. Yeah, it could be that. I mean, or hell, like, shoot. Well, I don't want to say too much. I ain't trying to give away people's business ideas, but I mean, I know people that have come up with good ideas that could raise some money, and you could probably incorporate that within A-Day or stuff like that. I just don't know if I don't know why they haven't done some of these things, but who knows? Only come together after practice at the ice cream truck. I told you guys though, to be fair, funny enough, we did used to get ice cream on Thursday. Miss Amy used to bring in ice cream from what was it, like Steel City or something like that. Like the pops, they're like ice cream popsicles. Um, and then also during training camp to cool our bodies down, we used to like have a period like in the middle of practice. It would be like a rehydration period where we go sit. They converted like box trailers into like big freezers where we would go sit in there, get our body temps down, and they'd be passing out popsicles too. So, hey man, I mean, I can laugh a little bit, but I can't talk too much because we technically got a little bit of ice cream. Now, I wasn't an ice cream truck, but it was catered every now and then. And welcome back into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Just want to remind you guys, this segment of the show is presented by Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy, founded by attorney and professor Adam Lamparello. Lamparello Law works with high school, college, and graduate students on academic and career success, providing mentoring, exam, and test-taking preparation, subject matter mastery, application strategy, personal statements, resumes, and long-term academic and professional planning. Adam also provides legal representation for students, faculty, athletes, and academic misconduct matters, First Amendment cases, name, image, and likeness. We all know how important that is in today's college football world, especially, and all criminal defense matters, and is known for representing his clients with genuine care, passion, and relentless advocacy. If you want serious guidance and strong representation for somebody who truly has your back, trust me, Adam will have your back. I can vouch. Contact Lamparello Law at 201-317-5115. You can always email him at adam@lamparello-law.com or visit that website that will be officially rolling out very soon, lamparello-law.com. Make sure you guys check them out. The official legal representation of the Miller's Edge. But like you also heard, it's way more than just representation, man. Test prep, application strategy, personal statements, you name it, especially for students and young individuals, man. It's really good stuff. So make sure you guys check them out. They're going to do some really, really good stuff over at Lamparello Law. Shout out to our guy, Adam. So let's keep on rolling on the phone lines. 205-342-9904. We've got Carson up next. Carson, welcome in.
What's up, Brody? How you doing?
Man, I can't complain, man. It's signing day. It doesn't feel like it at all, but we're good, man. We're chilling, man.
Yeah, lackluster signing day. The news already hit, man. Oh, man, it's crazy. I had a thought. Well, first of all, I answer Adam's kind of scenario or question that he had put up. I do think Keelan, especially, I put him in the level of prospect that Bryce was.
Mhm.
I'd say if you want to, I'm a quarterback guy. I don't know if people in the chat know this. I love quarterbacks. I watch a ton of breakdown, mostly on quarterbacks. If I'm watching anything, whether it be from Carson Palmer's brother, to a ton of different resources that I look at. But if I had to make a comparison for those that don't know yet, Keelan Russell to me is more of like Jaden Daniels, similar in a lot of aspects. And then if you're going to go with the comp for Austin Mack, I would say Justin Herbert. In some ways, I don't think he's different, especially arm angle wise. Throws a little bit more over the top, but he can spin it, man. So I'd say if you're looking at like at best scenario for a guy like Austin Mack, I'd probably say most similarly to Justin Herbert. But that being said, I'd put Keelan Russell for sure up there with some of the best prospects that we've ever had at the position. Now, that's not saying that the production will be that. It's hard to do. It's hard to really, map out production with a guy who hasn't seen the field. But if you're just going on skill set and, tangible things that the guy does, he's certainly with the best of them. So, and then Mac has some of those traits as well. But I just don't know if Mac has the X factor, the unteachable things, that, he does a lot of the things that you could teach very, very well. He checks all the boxes in terms of, what, if you're grading a quarterback, he tests pretty well on those things, but it's between the ears. It's the guy who does the things that you can't teach. I don't know. That's yet to be seen, with, projecting to the next level. I see Austin Mack more as like a serviceable starter in the NFL, or, a backup in the NFL, who like a high level backup. If possibly, his ceiling is a starter, but that if you're just projecting the middle of what they can do, what the middle of outcomes, he's probably a backup in the NFL. Whereas Keelan Russell is, if he all of this comes to fruition, he could be one of those franchise changing quarterbacks. Now you got to produce. Like I said, we're way too early for projecting any of that. But if the skill set comes to life and turns into production, he could very well be that. So, yes, the quarterbacks on this roster stack up against the quarterbacks we've had.
That's what I kind of take from it. Skill set wise, they both have a really good skill set. But when you talk about like that X factor and just having like with Bryce, right? Like Bryce, we all know because really he could spin it, but what really separated him from a number of other quarterbacks was just that factor, that gene of man, was he clutch. Like, man, when you needed something, you know what I mean? And he didn't always have the best offensive line in front of him. Like, I know he had some guys that are still, going on to be first rounders or are playing in the league. But if you go back and watch, I mean, even that Tennessee game, I mean, they were all over him. I mean, he was like a magician. We're watching him have to escape, and everybody made fun of his size, but man, he was hard to get to, and he always found a way to make plays. And yeah, he's just a special type of dude. And it is hard to always, I hate going too far with comparisons, but when you're just talking about guys that have that it factor to them, just watching them, and they have the tools to match, Keelan Russell definitely feels a little bit more like that compared to a number of other guys. So I agree. And that's why I think he's ultimately going to be the guy, but it's just a matter of, within the system, right? That's a big piece of it, because even like last year, I mean, Ty was phenomenal. But I mean, if you ask me, I still think Keelan probably had, I mean, Ty still struggled a little bit with that deep ball. We know that. I mean, I think Keelan probably, in terms of arm talent, was probably the most talented guy in the room, but he just was so young. And then you're talking about this system that is very complex. You're talking about it requires a lot. And again, if you don't believe me, just go back and watch. I mean, there's a reason they're taking the clock all the way down. They're doing all these adjustments and pre-snap it. Like, I almost wonder if they need to consider scaling this offense back a little bit to try to really let these guys flourish. I think that would be something to consider. I'm not saying you change your whole system, but you find ways, just like with us with Coach Saban, like we started getting to, one word calls that just included everything. That way we could get the call quicker. Everybody kind of knew what they were doing. We knew the adjustments. And I wouldn't say we necessarily like started watering things down, but I think we also took some measures to just put us in a little bit better position that way, because we already knew our system was complex. There's no way around it, but there was always some things that they could do to try to help, mitigate some of those risks of, all right, we're doing too much. And I almost feel like sometimes our offense feels like it's doing a little too much.
Yeah, I agree. I remember you asked me after we lost to Oklahoma, or going into the SEC championship game, what we have to do, what the offense needs to do. I know you posted a question to the chat and to callers, and I said exactly that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Simplify it. You don't have to dumb it down, but you need to simplify it, because the quarterback, there's a ton of pressure on the quarterback, not just from a physical standpoint of guys breathing down his neck, but to make the calls. And it seemed to me that the communication aspect of our offense there was a link missing, and some of that turns into lack of physicality. That turns into lack of execution, right? Because when guys don't know what they're doing on certain plays, or just one link of that chain breaks on the offensive line, where some guy doesn't get the right call, or they don't communicate it well. Well, that's a missed assignment. And that can make people look very stupid, very unathletic. And I just think that aspect of the game has to get better. Of course, that's the writing on the wall. And so it's a bigger philosophical question for Ryan Grubb to answer. And, I go back to Kane Womack's first year as defensive coordinator. I think there was a little bit of that going on the first year. And this year we shored up a lot of that. So I'm hopeful that not just having Ryan Grubb back for a second year, I know people want to write him off completely and just say to hell with him and, get somebody else in there to call the plays. But I think year two, having a little bit more continuity, not just with, there's a personnel aspect of it that I think is like kind of in the midst, where it's like, dang, would you have been better with the guys that were in the room already in the offensive line room, with just another year of Ryan Grubb in this offense, in the system? And now you're having to plug and play and bring in all of these new guys, and then they have to learn the system. So that's the big question. Can they do that? Now, but the continuity of that is, you have the quarterbacks that have been in the system for a year. And so maybe it's not as much of some big learning curve like what people expect it to be with a young quarterback coming in to play right away, being that they're going to be a first-time starter. Maybe there isn't that much of a, big disconnect anymore, being that they've had another year in the system and a whole spring with it. So I'm hopeful that at least from the quarterback's perspective, from a mental and cerebral aspect of it, that they can take a jump and really be effective. Now, you just got to hope that from an offensive line standpoint and the personnel there, that they're able to, that they hit on their evaluations, right? That they got the right guys in the building to do what they want to do. And the offensive line coach can communicate that to between Ryan Grubb and the offensive line and be able to really execute at a high level. Now, that remains to be seen. I'm hopeful that, these guys are good coaches. They've done well with evaluations before. And so that's the big, that's the X factor for this season. Can you communicate what you want to do effectively to get the product that you want? And, to put it into perspective, if it's Keelan Russell, here's a stat. He threw for 4,200 passing yards, 55 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. And he didn't do it with just his legs. A lot of high school quarterbacks who are athletic like that, just run rampant because they're better than the guys that the high school talents that they're playing. But he's playing 6A D1 football in Texas, and he's being efficient with the football. So I got high hopes, but we'll see if they can correct some of those things and kind of right the ship on the communication aspect, execution aspect. But
Yeah, 100%. I think communication, execution are pivotal for this offense, but I think what trumps even that is identity. I think like if next time they open up, I guess the media, maybe somebody. If I'm around there, I guess I would ask it, or maybe I'll just tell somebody in the media to ask a question like this because I think we sometimes get caught up asking questions about what's your favorite playlist before. I want to know going into this season, what's going to be the identity of this team, especially in terms of the running game, right? Like which he might not be able to answer that because maybe you don't want to say that publicly. But to me, that's a question that I'm curious. Like, what is, like when you look at a lot of teams, they have their identity when it comes to running the football. I can't say we really had one. I don't, I know we like pin and pull. I know they did that a lot at Washington, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, are we more of a true gap scheme? Because I've seen us do a lot of both to the point where it's almost like what is it? Like, you're jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's kind of what it felt like. We were just doing a bunch of different, running, schemes and things that, all right, we're trying this, doesn't work. Let's go to this. Okay. All right, let's scrap that. That didn't work. Instead of when you see these other teams, maybe like a Georgia, or whoever,
Missouri.
they're going to Indiana, Missouri. Yeah, they're a wide zone team. Like that they're going to consistently run wide zone. They'll sprinkle some other stuff in there, but they're a wide zone team. Indiana inside mid zone. They got the RPO game off of it. See a little bit of duo with it, split zone, but it's very. You get what I'm saying? Like that's their identity.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's the big
with
question.
Us, it's like, all right, we got power, or maybe, excuse me, we got duo one play. All right, we got inside zone. We see a bunch of pin and pull, and then later in the year they started running a bunch of stretch. Like against Indiana, I feel like all we ran was like mid and wide zone. I'm like, where did that come from? You know what I mean? like we just keep. I'm like, what are we doing? Like we got to figure something out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like the old classic saying of throwing crap at a wall and seeing if it sticks. That's what it seemed like, right? Like there wasn't. It's like, well, let's run this one and see if it works. Almost as if like we don't really know if this is going to work at all, and let's just see if we can get something here. And there's got to be an identity. I think Ryan Grubb wants to be multiple in the running game, but you have to have the stars align in order to do that. Because I just go back to when, it's a different example, but when the Patriots played the Rams in the Super Bowl and blew them out, Bill Belichick said, you are not running outside zones. Like you're not doing that with Todd Gurley. Like we're taking that completely away from you. You're not doing it. And they weren't able to they weren't able to execute their offense the way that they were. And then Jared Goff without a running game. Come on. We've seen his career in LA or with the Rams because of that. They couldn't run the football. He can't be effective. He goes to Detroit. They pick up a running game, and it works out for him. And he's a really good quarterback because he can execute the everything that he wants to do, play action, pass, all of that stuff. So I think Ryan Grubb wants to be multiple in the running game and have the ability to run multiple schemes. But the problem is you don't really have the personnel to do that. And you lack execution. You lack all of the things that the hallmarks of being an effective offense. You don't have that. We could pass protect, right? Well, but you can't do that when they're bringing 8. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a double-edged sword, right? It's kind of a lose-lose. Like you want to be multiple, you can't execute in some of these things, so you're forced to do what you're good at, and you can't do that because they know that's the only thing you can do, like you've been saying all year long. So you got to have some continuity. You got to form an identity. You got to do something well in the running game, whatever it may be. Pin and pull works. Let's stick with it. I agree completely. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. I think we're making the right moves, but it's I'll wait and see. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it isn't. We'll see. Even in spring, man, maybe they just say, hey, we're going to try to find that identity or start to form it right now. And I think that would probably pay dividends. So like I said, I'm fired up, man. I can't wait to see this new look team. Literally, when I say new look team, man, that whole offense is going to look damn near totally different.
It's all new.
Yeah, it's all new, man. I'm excited. There should be some good competition going. And hopefully these guys, I know they're a little bit young on the offensive line, but hopefully they at least listen. They might not be polished. They might not be experienced like some, but as long as I go out there and I see them dudes playing with some nasty, I see them firing off the ball, getting pushed, competing, I can walk away from the spring and say, hey, man, we got a chance. So that's like I said, my expectations, I've got them in a very realistic spot. I just want to see guys compete, man. I really do. And I think all of us can agree on that.
The road.
Yeah, man. That's right. Just like our folks over at Asphalt Restoration Company. Carson, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. Hey, I need to talk to our folks over at Asphalt Restoration Company. That's a good little thing, like paving the road, right? Just like they do, fixing that asphalt. We need some of those pave makers, or how would you say that? I don't know. Not my forte, but hey, they're partners with us. So shout out to Asphalt Restoration here in town. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back. We'll go back to the phone line. I think we got Duval up next, and we'll close out on the radio side of things right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
It's the event our state jewelry.
Let's see. Calls on the O-line is the business of the O-line play, but the meat and potatoes in the run game is still winning. A hat on the hat, staying locked in on blocks. We didn't do the basic things last year. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Where I'm going with it, Al, is I just feel like at some point, listen, there's no reason. Caden Proctor, like look at this picture. You got Caden Proctor, and it's actually, good picture right here, right? It looks to me like duo, maybe. Again, I don't know. This is just a screenshot, so I'm not 100% sure, but like we should have been able to do this consistently. This dude's 360. We're talking about gap versus zone scheme. I would argue probably we're built a little bit more for gap scheme, which you saw us run some duo, some inside zone as well. But I don't understand why we couldn't consistently get a picture like this, man. Dewberry's what? Right, 330 at least. And he's a heavy-handed guy. He doesn't have the best footwork. Parker Brailsford was great. Parker Brailsford, could do everything you needed him to do, even though he's a little undersized, but he was phenomenal majority of the time, especially when healthy. But yeah, man, just very interesting on that. But in terms of what you said, though, you're 100% right. Getting a hat on a hat, and it starts, initial contact, getting that drive off the ball, hat on a hat, and like you said, finishing blocks. It was like we never could do like all the three. It was always, all right, might get some good contact. All right, we're not finishing the block. Don't get good contact. Don't have good power at the point of attack, not getting much push. Guys on different levels. Just was not very consistent, so gotta be better. There will be an 8A game. I haven't seen any news on that. That would be cool, though. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they bring it back. I mean, the spring portal is now closed, so got sideways versus OU, but I remember in the Georgia game, a few other games. Ran a lot of gap. Easy left guard or right guard, not getting to their guy. Never could get a hat across. I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of times inside on the guards. Like I said, Parker Brailsford, if you go watch his tape, man, he was honestly probably one of the, if not, he's definitely up there in contention for being one of the best centers in college football. But like Dewberry, he's a big physical guy, but man, I feel like every time I saw him, he was so easily shed, right? Like people were just throwing him because maybe he was, leaning too much, a little top heavy. People using that, that momentum. What do you call it? Leverage against them, right? If someone's you're leaning on you a whole bunch. I mean, as a defender, man, it just makes it a little bit easier to shed that guy, use that guy's body weight against him. So yeah, it's just a number of things, man. It's just frustrating. But I mean, you look at this line. I mean, like, this is why I'm just kind of like a little hesitant and patient on saying, like, all right, how are we going to be that much better? I know from a fit wise, you definitely could improve, but I mean, to be fair, I mean, like, we're talking about running the ball. I mean, Caden Proctor, Dewberry, Brailsford. I mean, I'm not saying Dewberry was great, but I mean, he's a big physical dude. I mean, you would expect, and with the experience, you would expect at least out of these three guys, you should be able to try to find some type of running game, at least consistently. And I thought Formby, while he definitely struggled at tackle, he wasn't bad at tackle at times. The South Carolina game against some really good edge rushers, he actually did damn good. But I thought when they bumped him to guard, he actually was pretty decent at right guard. He wasn't very powerful, especially for as big as he was. He was a little soft. But I thought he could, at least in terms of like position blocking and kind of just getting the job done, I don't think he was bad. And Michael Carroll, he's pretty nasty when it came to run blocking, at least when you talk about finishing. So I'm like, man, if you couldn't get it done with that group, why should I have a whole bunch of confidence with a bunch of new young players that it's just going to immediately be much better? Now, that was before we, learned that there's going to be a new offensive line coach and all that good stuff. So that definitely plays a role, but definitely can see it being a little bit better for sure, but I just don't know about like how much better. I just don't know if I see it being a complete turnaround like I was hoping it would be. But yeah, thanks for the reminder, Mario. If you guys haven't, man, hit that like button. I forgot. I don't even think I've said it once today. That always just helps us out, keeps everything consistent, pushes it towards other people. That way we can get more people on here hanging out, more people in the chat, makes it more fun for you guys, and it keeps the channel growing, helps keep things free, right? We don't do subscriptions. So shout out to all of our partners and sponsors here that put everything together, but also for you guys, just hit that like button, subscribe. That's all we ask if you guys don't mind. And welcome back into this Hump Day edition of the Miller's Edge, time 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's go back to the phone lines. But first, man, we got a super chat we'll hit real quick from our guy Nick here over on the YouTube stream. Again, if you guys ever want to watch us do the show, we always invite you to come hang out with us over on YouTube or Facebook on the Tide 100.9 page on YouTube at the Miller's Edge. You can watch me run my mouth for a couple hours. You'll see us put up clips in press conferences on the screen. Sometimes we're breaking down tape. I know you guys really enjoy that. Maybe we'll get back to that at some point, breaking down the tape of some of these guys and all that good stuff, especially during the year, man. It keeps on coming in. If we have guests who join via the stream, you can always see them there as well. But Nick's super chat says, I'm just putting on record. I bet DeVore is the coach to take us where we want to be. Listen, I think, Coach, in terms of, coaching the game of football, I mean, and what he's done, there's no denying that part, right? I mean, his record in big games, it shows. I mean, his record against ranked opponents and some of these top-notch football coaches is up there with the best of them, right? There's no denying that. And so I think there's definitely that piece is fine. I think it's more so when it comes to the consistency. I think that's where some of the concern comes in, which I think it's it's fair, right? I mean, you just talk about some of the performances that you've seen. Not saying it's been a constant thing, but even when you do have one or two performances that get away from you in the fashion that they have, it just that's going to always drive a little bit of that doubt or that concern, right? It's part of it. But in terms of really him being able to have success, I think it's a matter of if he can just kind of tweak some things, um, even if it's the people around him, right? Just making sure he has the right people in place. Because really, as a head coach, man, I mean, it's a lot more than just, hey, this guy is the head of the X's and O's. I mean, you're talking about having a department and a system in place for recruiting, now NIL roster management and retaining players, and then the X's and O's piece. Then you're putting a lot of confidence in your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, position coach. I mean, it's a big thing, and I think with him, I think there's no doubt. I mean, he's definitely proven that he can win you football games. I think the biggest question is, you know, can he make the necessary changes to make him even more consistent and not have some of those what I would call maybe some of those head scratching moments or some of those stains, maybe, right? Like the Indiana game, Georgia game, SEC championship, those moments. If he can find a way to have less of those and lean a little bit more, which I mean, that is in a perfect world, right? I mean, and obviously that's what he's striving for. It's not like he's trying to have moments like that. I just think if and I say this all the time, if the Indiana game doesn't go the way it went, or the Georgia game doesn't go the way it went, you have that one loss. Well, the Florida State loss, which is bad, or that game doesn't go how it went, right? Where, I mean, I was watching the clip just yesterday, kind of like all the reactions, because I was, making a cut up for something, and just went back and it put me in that moment again. I'm like, man, like, and people were livid with that, and it wasn't because you lose to Florida State; it's because how we lost to Florida State, it's because how the team showed up and how we looked like we weren't prepared. So I think that's what the main thing. If he can clean that part up, I think there's a lot of confidence in what he can do. That's just my opinion. I think a lot of people probably share that as well. All right, let's hit the phone lines real quick. 205-342-9904. We got Duval on the line. Duval, you still there?
Yeah, man, I'm hanging on. What's up, C?
What's up, dog?
Man, out here trying to make some money in this damn Atlanta track.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Man, I just wanted to pick your brain on the offensive line coach. Like, I don't really know how the offseason goes for the offensive lineman, but, as far as the offensive line coach, we need to get him a house, get him close to the campus, and all the offensive linemen need to make his house a chill spot because they need to be a reflection of him. If we want to go where we want to go, you know what I'm saying? They need to have that mentality. Like, if we want to build road graders, I guess that's what you was trying to say about the paving company. We need to get them guys all together, like, not like on some, kumbaya type stuff, but this is what an offensive line looks like, and just run tape. You know what I'm saying? You say he played 7 years in the league, so he know what it looked like.
Exactly. Yeah, and everything I've heard, like I said, I'm not going to sit there and act like I know a whole bunch about him, or I've, had experiences with him, because I haven't. But just asking people that I do know, played for him or that have been around him, everybody said nothing but positive to say. And the one thing that comes up a lot is just, his attention to detail, his ability to develop guys, all things that you want to hear for the situation that we're in, when it comes to having a bunch of young players, a bunch of new faces. So I feel good about the hire. I can't sit here and say that it's going to be the perfect thing. I can't say that we're going to have a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. I mean, I don't think anybody can say that, but I do feel good about some of the things that I've read, some things that I've heard. And I think, when you have a guy like that, former player, has experience, hell, he coached on Bill Belichick's staff. I expect him to bring something to him. You know what I mean? I expect him to bring something like that to this room, which desperately needs it right now. And I have high hopes for it. So I'm excited to get to see him go to work with spring ball coming up, and just seeing how he interacts with his guys and how he's working with that group, because he got a bunch of new faces to work with, and hopefully he can get the most out of them.
Yeah, and that's going to dictate what kind of season that Mac has. I believe just because of his experience within the offense that he's going to be the starter. But if that offensive line isn't up to par, he's going to have a horrible season.
I would say it all the time, man. Doesn't matter if you have Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, or hell, vintage Joe Montana back there. If you don't have a good offensive line, man, you're not ever going to be able to see those guys play at their highest level. So yeah, I think the offense, man, the success of it is riding on this offensive line unit. So we'll see. Duvall, man, we got to get out of here a little early because we can buy breaks. But I appreciate you hanging on the line, man, and hearing from you real quick, man. Definitely call back soon so we can get you some more time.
All right, see you, Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide, brother. Good deal, man. Always appreciate hearing from you guys, and I appreciate all you guys listening, hanging out, especially our folks behind the glass, Chase, Reed, and others that do all the dirty work running the ship. So thanks to all you guys and all your participation here on the stream, on the calls, all that good stuff. We got to get out of here, but we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here, Tidal 100.9, 1230 WTBC. This has been the Miller's Edge. We will see you guys then, right here, Tidal 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily.
All right, let me hit a couple of these chats before I get out of here real quick. Golly, man, I got to figure that out. I can't clear my throat to save my life. Yeah, I don't know about the whole 8A thing, but we'll see. I'm going to ask around though. Y'all got me curious now. Seeing we didn't have two healthy inline tight ends last year to really run 12 personnel to get defense to declared. That's a fair point. We really didn't. Yeah, I was kind of confused what was up with Danny Lewis, man. He was hurt like the whole year. It felt like it. I don't even think they really announced what he was dealing with. But that, I mean, Josh Ford, he's coming in. He's a bigger guy. I have to go back and watch some more tape on him. You know, most of the time, these highlights of these tight ends always consist of them in the passing game. But I mean, I like Edwards. Now you see him right here. He's getting getting pushed back a little bit. That's an area of improvement for him this offseason. Definitely getting stronger and more physical in the running game. But yeah, I think some physical tight ends, they always help you, man. Getting in 12 personnel, trying to really establish that running game. But I still don't think it's necessarily the main, and I know you're not saying it's the main reason, but my thing is, man, like how much 12 personnel do they really like to run? I know they ran a good bit of it year one, so maybe they do want to get back to that. I mean, because Robbie Oots and CJ Dupree, I remember they had a lot of looks and they would sub those guys out, get Danny Lewis in there with who was the other one they used to rotate in there? But anyway, so yeah, you're right. Now I think about it, they ran a lot of 12 personnel their first year, but it's hard to tell exactly, was that due to the system being that? Was that more so some of the adjustments they were making, trying to tailor to Jalen Milroe and some of the things they were doing with him? Because we know they did tailor the offense a little bit there. Which now that I think about that, I mean, if you can go out your way and tailor the offense a little bit more to a dual threat quarterback, which was the right thing to do and definitely showed. I mean, we had success doing it. If you're going to look at the numbers, I mean, like, why couldn't you simplify it or do other little things with the guys we had last year? I don't know, man. Maybe Smitty's got a point or whoever else said it. And I've always said this. I thought some people, even like my dad, I used to tell him, I'm like, hey, you're going a little too hard on Nick Sheridan. I mean, I know in the moment, everybody kind of is, a little frustrated at times, but you really look at it, he technically had a better year. Offensively, we performed better with Jalen Milroe and Nick Sheridan than we did last year with Grubb and Ty, which is honestly pretty interesting. I know people are going to bring up, well, Ty was injured, and I'm not saying it's necessarily apples to apples, but I mean, it is even to me is interesting because going into the year, I just would have assumed, man, bringing in the original coordinator that you made everything happen with at Washington, and then you have a quarterback room that is comprised of guys that are better fits of what you want to do. Even though I was the first one to tell you, Jalen was every right. He needed to be the starter, right? He was the best option we had, without a doubt, and he's still a very dynamic player, without a doubt. But in terms of just like system fits, I think we all can agree. I mean, bringing back the coordinator that they just went to the national championship with, who's been with Coach DeBoer for years, and having a guy, whether it was Ty or even Austin Mack or whoever ended up winning the job, being a lot more similar to the quarterbacks they've had in the past. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that the offense took a step back. Milroe massed way more in the run game than we gave him credit for. I don't want to be "I told you so" guy, but even I had been saying that. Me and my dad had been saying we said that since 2023. And we try to tell everybody that. We used to have to deal with people coming on here and people making it political, making it seem like we're just trying to make excuses. Oh, y'all just like no, like no, we're telling you. Like matter of fact, because I even brought my dad down. I brought my dad to some scrimmages, and yeah, it was evident. I mean, matter of fact, the scrimmage I brought my dad to, man, Milroe. I mean, I think one of the first plays of the game, he hit somebody on like a 60-yard bomb, and that's why it used to annoy me when I used to hear so much about people talking about, like, "Oh, he can't make these throws." I'm like, "No, I don't like the people using that. He can't." I watch this guy in practice do it all the time. I mean, it's just more of a consistency thing. And he's a big, strong guy. I think it was more so just, I think really a mechanical type deal and just fundamental, just having a little more touch. I mean, he's so big and strong, man. Some of those, those short passes, you can just, be a little more smooth, and I think it's a whole different deal. But regardless, yeah, to your point, he masked all that, and that's why you go back and look at the numbers. Our running game, I don't have it pulled up right now, but it was uh we averaged like 180 yards on the ground the year before last with Milroe, which granted he was um a huge piece of that, but um, you know, still. And I think that's why the more people look back now, and again, I'm not trying to be "I told you so" guy. I'm not including myself in that because we had been talking about this on the show. Like me and my dad, we understood the assignment, but I think people understand now. Like that's why when Coach Saban had Jalen and Ty in that battle, then even Coach DeBoer's first year, like there's a reason. I mean, there's a reason for all this stuff. Even like with Keelan Russell, them not necessarily just playing him, just because these coaches see these guys every single day. Oh man, we got another super chat. Dang, we got one from Kim. Wow, dang, y'all are showing out. Goodness gracious. Hi, Christian. Love listening to your show. I've learned so much just listening to the show over the last month. Wow. Thank you so much, first and foremost, man. You guys, man, go above and beyond with that. Like I tell everybody, man, just know all of it, we always reinvest, man. Everything goes to trying to make the product as good as possible for all you guys. So thank you guys so much. Seriously. Um, can't thank you enough. And I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And finally, I feel like we're finally getting a little bit more I guess exposure. Now I need to do better of like posting clips and stuff. That way, it spreads better. But I love hearing that compliment because that's the goal, man. The goal is to just create a space to talk football, for a bunch of folks that love the game just like we do here. And ultimately, I just want to use my experiences and my knowledge of it to pass it on to other people that appreciate the game. And I've always been, I don't know, I always kind of had that mindset, man. I'm like, whether I'm like around people that are watching, I'm like, man, there's so many things that people just don't know about the game. It's not y'all's fault. I mean, it's you know, not many people have had the experiences like being in the locker room with Coach Saban and stuff like that to learn stuff like that. So I just always have um, tried to use this platform to just kind of push that, just try to teach about the game and share stuff like that because I just think it's fun. But thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We got some fun stuff planned, especially this upcoming season, and I can't wait. But in the meantime, we'll definitely keep rolling talking this off season. As a matter of fact, while I'm on it, any tape that we could break down? I'm trying to think. Because I know we haven't really broken any tape down in a while, and I'm kind of itching to do it. Not today, but is there anybody that you guys want us to try to break down? Now you got to remember. Oh, appreciate that, Phil. Yeah, I'll keep trying to push some more clips. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll start just doing like regular uploads too. But Kim, seriously, thank you so much for that super chat. Like seriously, I appreciate that so much, and I'm so glad you're here hanging out with us and learning. Um, please continue to come hang out with us. We'll have I want to say what is it? Fourth. I want to say in a few weeks, hopefully we should be back cleared to get what's it called? Like current players back on. I hope. So if you guys have any ideas, maybe I don't know who they'll like I said, they're getting a little more strict with the whole media thing. They're kind of backtracking a little bit. Which it's part of it. But I know I talked to Ty. He said when he frees up, he'll come on here. So hopefully um we can do that soon. So I know we got that one planned soon. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Um oh, Levi Wallace. He said he's going to jump on here. My guy Levi, we'll get him on here. Noah Rogers. Yeah, I could pull that up. Oh yeah, breaking down Michael Carroll would be good. I don't think we really like focused on him like that. Ruben, you want me to get Ruben on here or you want to watch Ruben's tape? I mean, we can get Ruben on here. We have Ruben on here. I just was breaking down a clip from an episode we had with him. We can get Ruben on here. Ruben's funny though. He was on here. Damn, where is he at? I think he was at like AutoZone or something. I don't know what he had going on. Yeah, we broke down some Ryan Williams tape a little bit with Slade. Matter of fact, I need to get Slade on here. Yeah. Let me see if Slade wants to jump on tomorrow, and we'll see if we can pull up some Noah Rogers slash Ryan Williams tape. I want to say I think I saw Slade down at like the Super Bowl doing some media stuff though. Sharpshooters, yeah. Let's shoot me a message when y'all go on live. I can see if I can jump on with you. Yeah, Ruben's tape is like, I mean, stupid. It don't make sense, bro. Let me see if we can get Slade on here. Damn, we got another super chat, man. Y'all are just rolling. Nick, I appreciate that, bro. He says, Christian, I love what you did and have done for us. Alabama fans are much appreciated. It's always funny when people say that, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I promise you, y'all ain't got to thank me, man. I was just blessed to be able to have the opportunity to play here. You know what I mean? Like, I was, I appreciate them giving me the opportunity to play here. So, but thank you so much, man. Um, yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. A matter of fact, I was talking about like cleaning some stuff out, and I'm like, I have so much Alabama stuff that I got when I was here, and I can't. A lot of people are just like, man, like you don't wear that, just let it go. I'm like, nah, man, like that's so special. It's sentimental. I'm like, anything that I got when I was in school here, I'm like, man, I want to keep that way. I can look back and maybe give it to my kids. I'm like, it's special. That's like, that's gonna be like, you know, like memorabilia one day because we did some special stuff when I was here. And I mean, it's kind of crazy even now. I mean, it's not even that far removed, but you're just seeing how college football is now, and even already, it's kind of like, damn, like, yeah, we definitely like I don't know if this makes sense, but in the moment, like it felt kind of just normal because that was like the norm for Alabama, right? Like even like when I was getting recruited here, like Alabama was already good. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and act like I got here and oh, it turned around. I got here in 2014. So I think the year before was what the kick six year in 2013. But they had already won in 2009, 11, 12. So I got here in 14, but still, but just looking back. So it was kind of like a norm. But then when you look at kind of where we're at now and kind of what was being done then, it makes you realize like, damn, like what was normal for us really is just kind of crazy when you think about it. We're about to do it now. We are about to go live right now. I don't think I can jump on right now because I gotta get some lunch. But are you? I thought when did it? I thought I joined. Not joined, but I thought I watched it in the evening. Y'all do it during the day too? Disappointing to see them never be able to just adjust. If you didn't commit to Bama, who's your number 2? Georgia, without a doubt. I ain't gonna lie to you guys, man. Georgia made it close at the end. I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was on flip watch, but I was like, man, Mark Richt was their coach, and he was so nice, man. He was a great dude. Still is, clearly, but in that at that time, man, he was just so solid. But yeah, I don't know. Georgia was definitely a number 2 for me. Really close. Hold on, let me let this dog in. Maybe I'll pull up some Michael Carroll tape for like 10 minutes. That's how you always get me. I always have a good suggestion. I'm like, man, I need to get out of here. But I'm like, damn, I kind of want to. Oh, you're about to mess with me. Okay. I was like, dang, y'all go live right now. So I thought y'all do it in the evening. Yeah, man. I was, man, my junior year, I was finally, I was like, man, it's my time. I've earned my spot. I'm like, it's up. But nope, other plans, man. Tore my bicep. But hey, came back, played last 3 games, won national championship, man. I'm not complaining about that. But you're right, it was tough because I was like, God, man, I've been waiting all this time, of course. Tore my bicep. It was the weirdest thing, man. I mean, what I thought was like a routine tackle, closed on the counter, and yeah, really, I mean, they just ran counter, I closed. Matter of fact, I think we were playing Landon Dickerson in Florida State. I think he was their center, but closed on the counter, and it was a damn good play, man. I took damn near 3 because you had the I want to say it was what, maybe the H back 2. I don't know, but I basically took 2 blockers. Then I went to dive and make the tackle, and I did make the tackle, but at the expense of my bicep. And I just remember I reached out and I just felt something like just like I can't even explain it. I've never felt anything like that. I knew something like, because I've had like AC joints. I mean, hell, matter of fact, in high school, I broke my elbow and snapped a piece of the bone off and had to get like a form of like Tommy John surgery. But this was different. I mean, because like my whole like my bicep, like literally like it snapped right here and it rolled up. So I don't know if you guys know like the anatomy of that, but it yeah, this is attached right here in your like your elbow pretty much. And so if you put your finger in there, you feel that tendon, your biceps tendon where it connects. It literally ruptured. It just snapped and it rolled up. And I had like a gap in my arm. Like it was weird, man. But yeah, it was weird, man. It felt like it was like a shock slash like burning. Like I was just like, what the freak did I just do? But I was too busy celebrating. I got up celebrating because it was a damn good play, but I knew something was wrong. And then um I think there was like one more play. We end up going off the field and I go to the sideline. It looked at Dr. Kane was looking at it. Shout out to Andrew Sports Medicine, one of our partners here on the show. And he knew without a doubt, like just by seeing it, by doing a test, that it was torn. And so I was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, well, can you just put a brace on it, right? Because I mean, like at Alabama, I ain't gonna lie to you. If y'all only that's why when people are like, oh, man, like this guy was hurt. I'm like, brother, we had all type of injuries, just like these guys do. I'm like, man, normally it's just like, hey, what can we do? Put a brace on it, spat it up, shoot it up. Like, there's so many guys that have been injured that you guys had no idea, but they just waited to the end of the year to get surgery. But they're playing with torn rotator cuffs, all type of issues. So I was hoping it was something like that. I'm like, all right, well, screw it. I'll just put a brace on it, then I'll figure it out later. They're like, you're gonna need surgery. And I was like, surgery? And then but I was like, hold on, I need surgery. He was like, yeah, you're gonna need surgery. I was like, well, can I play right now at least? I'm like, because you can't go operate on it right now. And he didn't want me to do it, but I was like, bro, I've waited all this time. I was like, bro, I'm going back in that game. So I was like, what's the word? I mean, you said it's torn. Like, I mean, what more can happen? It's torn. And so they let me run back out there. I went out there one more series and I missed a sack. I'm so mad, dude. Like, I'm like, my first play back out there after getting hurt should have been a sack. I came unblocked off the edge, but Francois, like, he rolled out. I missed a sack, and I was just pissed. And then I realized that every time I tried to run, when you're pumping your arms when you're running, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess it like, your bicep is some way is contracting or whatever. I don't know, but I just remember every time I tried to run, like my arm was just And they realized I got to the point where I just was like running with my arm like just stale, like it just was hanging. And so they're like, "Yeah, you need to get your ass off the field." I was like, "Damn." And that was that. Seen the article where Reggie, wait, where Ragland and Green kind of had words about the Rose Bowl game. Wait, Green. Wait, which Green? Yeah, adrenaline definitely is something, man. Wait, hold on. What happened with Reggie? I don't think oh, Nakai Hill Green. Oh yeah, shout out to Nakai. We had him on the show before they played Oklahoma. And I haven't seen it. We tore biceps crazy. You know what's crazy? It might have, I don't know, man. I used to have a pregame ritual. I used to do curls before like every game. So I don't know if maybe that just wasn't the best idea. I don't think so. I did that for my whole career. Never had an issue, but I think it was just kind of a freak accident, man. Um, yeah, I think it was just a freak accident, honestly, but was what it was. Part of it, man. Injury rate in football is 100% allegedly. That's what they say. I don't know if that means like throughout your whole life or what, but you don't get hurt at some point. Wait, matter of fact, hold on. I got that clip of me wait, when I tore it. Yeah, just stay right here.
Freshman anchors.
Yeah, I want to say one of these guys is Landon Dickerson, man. Yeah, I think that's Landon Dickerson right here. But close on that counter, man. Take two. That's what we always used to say, man. You got to take two, which means 1-2. My goal is just to blow this up. That way I keep these backers clean. Which is exactly what happens, right? You're welcome, Mac. But the reason I saw we called it take three is because I take this guy, I stand him up. I'm playing way too high, by the way. Push him back into that H back. That counts as two because now he can't. Now we got a backer free. And I keep my outside arm clean. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this was like literally probably like not probably. This is teach tape. I mean, it's probably one of the best plays of it. And what's funny is because it doesn't really stand out. Like you just watch this on TV. People probably just, oh, it's a good play. But like in our linebacker room, like I mean, like this literally like. I mean, that was probably one of the best plays I ever had. Just complete execution of it from an X and O standpoint. But yeah, that's where I tore it, which is really weird because I guess I don't know, man. Now I look at it, I thought he was running even like faster downhill, but he really wasn't. If anything, yeah, I mean, I stopped him in his tracks, so I was thinking he was running full speed downhill. It wasn't even that, so that's really weird. But that's when it tore right there. Right there. Yeah, that's funny. You got Landon Dickerson right there, ended up transferring. But I had like I was just fired up with the adrenaline that I was too busy trying to celebrate. But when I was celebrating like that, I immediately knew it was torn. Like I remember like I was doing that flex thing and I'm like trying to flex and like my left arm is just like on fire and I'm like, man. And yeah, that was that, man.
All of last year we talked about never
You can kind of tell right here, but you see this gap? Like, you see how my whole bicep on my right arm is like all the way down. Like, now look at this gap. I know it's kind of hard to tell because you see the little indentation right there, but like, look at this like big square or whatever. It's like rolled up. Really weird stuff, man. Really weird stuff. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, I was about to say that. More I look at it, yeah, you can tell. %80 extension under load that did it. Man. Yeah.
Christian Miller and Terrell Lewis.
I made this whole thing, by the way, that whole Undertaker thing. I don't even know if y'all remember this.
Be out for the year. Both of them have season-ending surgeries coming up.
Why would you take it? Well, because maybe Alabama gets a little healthier, right?
Because I can't remember when it was, but I remember they had told us, they had told me and Terrell, they're like, you know, y'all are getting close to maybe trying to give it a go. And we came back to practice, kind of leading up to the Iron Bowl, so everybody was like fired up. But it wasn't even like a given that we were going to play, but we were definitely about like right there. And I just remember making this clip. I was bored, and I was like, man, I kind of want to make like some like hype thing, and I dropped it. But when I dropped it, it was before. I just remember as soon as they told me that there's a chance you could probably come back and play, I was like, oh hell yeah.
And now their linebacking crew is a mess, Reese.
Well, that's not going to change.
I don't think the linebackers are going to be back.
Oh my!
I'm a big WWE guy. I don't know if you guys know that, but anyway.
Randy Orton looks as if he's seen a ghost.
Oh my God!
I have no idea. Oh my God! The dead has risen. What the hell is Randy Orton has seen a ghost?
Yeah, anyway. I don't know. I thought that was cool when I made it. Yeah, no, it really was, man. It's queer when it's weird when you learn kind of how all that stuff works, how it where it attaches at, and when it because you can tear it in two spots. A lot of people tear their bicep where it attaches up there on your shoulder. Like a lot of people when they're lifting weights, but you can like that. You don't have to necessarily get surgery on that one. You can get away with for a little bit, but a distal tear, which is what I had, where it's down at the elbow, you can't really function. But it was funny because I can still do push-ups. I remember I was like, man, I can do some push-ups, and they're like, those are push-ups. Like, unfortunately, man, you got to get surgery. But anyway, on that note, we'll do this. We'll pull up some Michael Carroll tape probably tomorrow, maybe. Trying to think. We'll do that tomorrow. Texas Slade. We'll try to get Slade on here. If Slade jumps on here, then we might watch some receiver tape instead. Then we'll pull up Michael Carroll at some point. But I do want to watch him. I feel like I broke down pretty much every transfer guy. The only guy we didn't watch tape on was Terrence Green. Yeah, push-ups definitely triceps in your chest, but it was just funny because I was like, well, damn. I mean, I can still do push-ups, no problem. Those don't hurt me because I still thought like the action of that would probably bother it, but it didn't at all. Let it play. Well, go on my personal X. It's pinned. I would let it play, but with that being a WWE clip, I don't want us to get in trouble for copyright stuff because I just know that YouTube takes it serious, and I don't want to risk because we were breaking down tape months ago, and we got a warning with that, and you got to be careful because they will like take your channel down if you don't follow the guidelines. The good news is, I mean, it was just a warning, and we haven't had any issues since. But that's why I got to be careful. That's why I skip through stuff. But yeah, but we'll break down some tape tomorrow, whether it's receivers or O-line. We'll do a little bit of it. Get back into that and keep on rolling. But I appreciate you guys as always. If you haven't, man, just hit that like button on the way out if you don't mind. And we'll plan on doing it all over again tomorrow, same time, same place, and we'll see you guys then.